Hello everyone, this is certainly a different vlog, isn't it? This is Bridlington on the East Riding of Yorkshire, and we are on the coast. As you can see from the rather choppy sea behind me, it's high tide. So you're probably wondering, where's the vlogs gone? And to be honest, there's a mixture of things, of course, probably not bad enough. First and primarily is the lack of time. In addition to working a full Monday to Friday 9 to 5-ish corporate office job, quote unquote, there's also study for the Open University, and there's also, because I took up going on the fitness regimen and going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, starting from April 2023, time dedicated to being able to dedicate to other things has dwindled quite massively, to the point where I've not been able to do vlogs, not been able to do the editing of videos, and there's been quite a backlog of stuff that I've wanted to do for the channel and just haven't had the opportunity to. You know, it took 6 months of the Festival of Model Railroading, or whatever it was, at the NEC to come out. There's stuff from the 2 trips to, I've forgotten it now, Stackpole. There's videos from that I want to do. I've uploaded some of the sort of journey footage, but not actually any of the other stuff edited into sort of like what I did on the day sort of thing. There's all sorts of stuff from events I've gone to, so for example Norwich Brick Show. I've done the LNUR bit, that's gone up, but the rest of the stuff that I've recorded has just been imported off the camcorder or the phone, and nothing's happened to it just because of lack of time. So what I'm probably going to do is book off some time, hopefully when it's not as warm, because the problem is editing stuff heats up the room, makes it into a sweatbox. I don't need that when it's already, you know, the warmer months of the year, and it just heats the room up, and the air doesn't really escape because there's been a lack of wind. So hopefully I'll get some time off soon and get that done. But what a nice view, and certainly a change of scenery for me. Now in terms of projects that are going on, honestly there's not been much of progress. I've been tinkering with some interior detailing for the rail-served warehouse I'm building. The rail-served warehouse actually suffered a bit of a hiccup. I was moving it and dropped it not quite badly on the floor, but it dropped on the floor. And as such, the first, what I'd call the first floor, because I'm British, which is the second floor to Americans, actually came off from what would be the ground floor or first floor, and there's been some bits that have come loose and weren't loose. They kind of needed to come off anyway, because I still need to do the internal structure for supporting the floor for the next story, and then I can duplicate that for the top floor whenever I do that. But at the moment, it's just something that, you know, it's happened. I've rebuilt it. There's still some pieces missing, and I just need, again, each time just to work out to the flooring and some of the interior design, like the light controls. Because even though it could be a warehouse and yes, it's served, you know, however long, you still want light controls to turn lights on and off, and maintenance, bulb replacement, and that sort of stuff. So there's little things like switches, some interior, you know, conduit and things like that sort of stuff that designed, you know, for the space. Yeah. And there's a few other things as well. So the T1 project, the Pennsylvania Road T1 duplex, the wheel, don't know how much of this I've shared previously. The wheels were specially ordered from Brits several months ago, if not close to a year ago. So they've obviously been on the market for a while. I ordered replacement motors, which were from Tech Brick. So they're not official Lego motors, but then the problem is, because they're not official Lego motors, they draw more power and they're a bit more powerful. So what I'm probably going to do is swap other models with those motors to free up those Lego motors to go into the T1 so it's getting wet. And what that does mean is that there's less power draw for the T1 power supply. The T1 is going to have two forms of electronics. Now that seems weird, but there's a reason for that. So there's one sort of set of electronics which is the remote control side, and that controls the motor and is fed from the batteries, and that controls basically the basic the motor forwards and backwards, or motor speed, motor direction I should say, because there's two different things. The light controls as well, because I'm going to fit working lights to it. It's only going to have the two sets of headlights, the headlights at the front, the backup light on the fender, and then onto the marker lights as well. But then there's a second stage of electronics after that, which I can't remember. I think it's from Dali Electronics, and Glenn Holland actually sort of used it in his Reading Crusader, and I've bought a copy of that. That's got a recorded copy of the T1 whistle on it, so it's actually got the right sound. And I've got the reed switches, automatic set off sort of thing. So basically, it will have the sound is a separate system, but the sound is linked to the control book system to do things like the bell, the whistle, and a few other bits as well. But then it's also going to have links to the reed switches which are mounted next to the axles, and the axle actually controlled by one of the Technic discs will be fitted to the leading of the two pairs, which will have magnets glued to it, or at least it will be tacked on temporarily first, like PVA, maybe properly glued on afterwards. And what that will mean is that they'll actually synchronise chuffs to both motor sets. I did query it with Dali Electronics, and I said, is this going to be fine? I said, oh yeah, it's fine. So it will actually have synchronised chuffs, and obviously because there's 4 cylinders, that means there's a lot more chuffs per standard just one wheel revolution, because you've obviously got 4 cylinders, and they work. And I'm going to try and do it so that they're slightly differently rotate on the wheels. So what that means is, normally get a rod, when somebody animates something and it's got more than one set of motion, they just duplicate the motion, so it works at the same time. I'm going to do mine so it's slightly out of sync, as it were, so that you get a little bit more of that effect. No doubt it is. So yeah, there's stuff going on. And there's 3 other things as well. I want to rebuild the CNJ Camelback. The Camelback has been one of those things I did a long time ago. I did order some decals for it, just the tender decal and the number decal. I didn't order any of the specifics or like class markings that were on the cab or anything else like that. On the road here, so I put the decals on, and it's kind of slight uplift to read it to the area of the fire. I did build it and rework the firebox area to be a bit more accurate, but once I was able to get more photos and see the material. But even so, the model really just needs a grounded rebuild. The motor is actually visible, it sort of juts out from the front of the firebox slightly, and it could just do with the motor moving into the motor completely moving up about 2 bricks or so, be hidden completely in the firebox, and then obviously I'll probably flip it around into 180, so it'll actually drive the rear driving axle. That will then mean it will be nice and close and you won't see anything. And there's a few other bits and pieces I need to do, mostly wrong, not work, so hopefully it's just time. I've got most of the parts, it's just time to work together all the commitments to time I have, such as work, open uni, gym, all the events I do. There's been quite a few events I've done, and just not had the time to do it. So anyway, bored you enough, I hope. So obviously, if you've got any questions, feel very to post them. And that's it from a rather wet Bridlington. So that's it from me. See you later.